Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Texas Narcos Podcast. It's been a minute since we've been on here, but we are back. And today we are with Texas K9 Solutions. Guys, how y'all doing?
Good.
Yeah, man. Appreciate y'all having me out here and checking out y'all's training facility and your dogs and all that good stuff. So let's start off and have everybody introduce themselves. We'll start over here on the left.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Trevor.
Trevor, all right. And next?
Brandon Stone.
And Brian Peel.
Cool. So, tell me a little bit about the company, the Texas K9 Solutions. Kind of where did this come from? And
Texas K9 Solutions officially started in 2018. Little bit backstory. I was a military working dog handler, EOD handler, dual purpose dog for about 10 years. Me and Trevor both deployed together quite a few times, and we did some stuff together. And Brian was actually the first sergeant in our security forces squadron while I was in active duty Air Force. So me and my family decided it's time to separate from the Air Force and kind of do our own thing, with this being the long-term goal. So I got out in 2018, worked at another police canine training facility, contracted overseas with the State Department, helped run their canine program for a while in Iraq, and then we started this thing up, and I asked Brian to move out here to help me, and he was dumb enough to say yes. And so he moved everything out here after he retired from the Air Force, and
right on.
We started it out, man. And then Trevor joined about a year and a half ago. He got out of the military as well and came out here to join us. So.
Okay. So are you guys kind of like a one-stop shop when it comes to, if there's an agency out there who has a need to get a dog, they can call you guys and y'all can provide the dog, the training, the whole 9 yards?
Yeah, absolutely. We're a little different than some other places. The biggest thing is we don't keep 100 dogs on hand at a time.
Right.
I go to Europe quarterly, sometimes more depending on the need. So we're not going to have 100 dogs for people to test,
right,
because the dogs that we have, we believe are the best of the best. So
right.
We're going to have a couple duels, some nice singles for people to look at, but if they want to go somewhere, and test 100 dogs, we're not that place because we stand on quality over everything. It's kind of our goal.
Right on. So just to recap, you guys were all dog handlers in the military, correct?
Me and Trevor were.
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
I actually got started in sport dog stuff probably around 2005.
Okay.
So I was a sport dog. Not necessarily a handler, but I did a lot of decoying. I had a dog that I was trying to work in sport, but that was where I started in this. I linked up with Brandon again once I was a first sergeant assigned to his unit in security forces. I had already been doing dog work for many years at that point, so it kind of made sense to go over and check out the working dog section when I was in security forces.
Right.
And that's how I met Brandon, and we started working outside as well together. Cool. While we were still in. So
right on.
I'm, of the three, I'm the one that was not a actual military working dog handler.
I got you. But y'all two were.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what would you tell a cop that's out there who's like, oh, I want to be a handler. I want to be a canine. Like, what are some words of advice or wisdom before they jump in and try to do something like this?
Put in the time with the local canine guys, man. That's the biggest thing. Get in a bite suit, see if you like that.
Yeah. And
then just put in time with your canine guys in your apartment.
Yeah.
They also have to know and understand that it's not just a dog thing. It's, they're going to be doing a lot with these dogs. So it's a job and then a job. It's more of a lifestyle than it is a job, and then nevertheless it's their partner, everything like that. So it may seem like a lot, but it's very rewarding at the end of the day. But it's going to be living with these cops and these people. So,
right. So how do y'all go through and pick out a good dog? Like, what's something that y'all look at?
Oh man. Yeah, we can go down a rabbit hole on this one. The biggest thing, we talk about it when we do seminars and stuff like that, right? Is intensity and the certain drives we're looking for is everything. We go to Europe, select all of our dogs. Obviously, the biggest thing, in my opinion, most police canines fail for is environmentals, meaning like how they do in new areas, different floors, stuff like that.
Right.
So we're really picky about that when we're testing dogs. And if a dog shows us weak environmentals, we pass on it every time.
Mm-hmm.
Next from there is hunt drive, which is a dog's desire to hunt and find a toy. essentially, right? Because that's all they
Right.
know. We're buying green dogs that just know how to hunt and find toys and bite people.
Right.
So intensity in a hunt is a big thing for me, because if a dog's going to hunt intensely green and not stop, they're going to stay there, right? There's nowhere to go but up. I don't like slow searching dogs. Kind of everybody knows that. If a dog searches slow, maybe slow and methodical, it's just not my type.
Yeah.
And then with bite work, it's intensity for me. And not, again, right? Like, I don't expect a 1.5-year-old dog that's only ever been on a hard sleeve in Europe to bite a bite suit perfectly, but it has to bite it with intensity, and it has to be able to handle stress.
Right.
And if it can do that, it's kind of our job to get it ready.
Yeah, to shape it how we want. Yeah, I mean, grip is important for two reasons. Really, grip tells you what's going on inside the dog's head.
Yeah.
But it's also important for controlling a bad guy.
Right.
You know, sport prioritizes grip point-wise.
Right.
Points are important in sport. They're not important on the street. However, grip's important on the street because you want to grab and hold a bad guy. So intensity matters, right? Most importantly, because you can shape grip if the dog's intense enough to work through whatever you put the dog through. But if they lack that intensity, no matter how good the grip is, it's going to fail eventually.
Right.
It's going to lose interest. It's going to be overcome with pressure.
Right.
It may not even engage. So the two work hand in hand.
These guys both talked about, the tests and everything like that. I'm just going to go ahead and say, behaviorally, we look for like a behavioral sound dog as well. We don't, as much as we like our intense dogs, if there's a certain sharpness to them, we kind of refrain from that. Just because we're going to be handing these over to these cops. That said, they are intense. So it can be, misconstrued, that intensity and sharpness. And so sometimes, some of these guys are like, man, that dog's too intense. I don't know if he's good for a new handler or for our agency. But Brandon says all the time, trust the training. Because we're gonna get this dog to where it needs to be, and then we're gonna get the dog team to where they need to be. And one thing that we don't necessarily talk about all the time is keeping our dog teams proficient. A lot of our dog teams are always coming back and keeping proficient, and that's something that we stand by too. So between that, overall character on the dog, we've tested a lot of dogs altogether. So we kind of know what we're looking at when looking at dogs, based off experience. Yeah. So, we can say these things, but only a few would understand what exactly we're looking for. Right. And, at the end of the day, we just want to be able to put the right dogs out there, doing the right job, that people can trust.
Funny thing, me and Trevor talked about after our last bike trip was like, within 30 seconds of holding a dog's leash, you usually know if you're going to buy the dog or not. Really? Yeah, it's just, there's certain dogs that will prove you wrong. You know what I mean? Like, you'll start testing them and they may be young and underexposed. So we expose them and see if they get stronger. But then you come across the dogs like the police duels we buy that you touch the leash and it's kind of vibrating. Yeah, like it's just a different feeling, right? If you've done it long enough, like you put hands on a dog like that, you're like I'm going to test you, but I probably, unless you just crumble somewhere, you know what I mean? Unless you show me something crazy. This is one of those dogs. And that's kind of the feeling we look for when we test dogs. That's why we don't buy 15, 20 duels when we go out, because I don't believe every dog's a duel. Yeah, I don't believe 90% of dogs are dual purpose. Right.
So where do y'all go to get your dogs from? Y'all go overseas?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we go to Poland.
Okay. What breeds are y'all typically looking at?
So typically, there's a kind of a fad going on in police K9, right? It's the Malinois and Dutch Shepherd. I think we can all agree, right? Like, the popularity in those have gone up. So, and typically you find more, in my opinion, good Mals and Dutch Shepherds. But every once in a while you come across a German Shepherd that's an absolute unit, and we've seen it recently with this last trip we went on. I bought a German Shepherd, a dual-purpose German Shepherd that is an absolute unit. And he's gotten passed up on for Mals and Dutches. Yeah. But it's typically Dutch Shepherd, German Shepherd, Malinois. Very rare German Shepherd dual-purpose dog. But when we find them, you know what I mean? They're very good. Yeah, they're that dog. Yeah. And then we do flop ears as well. We don't do a ton of flop ears, but we do GSPs and labs for single purpose, like in schools and stuff like that.
Right. So I guess, does it really matter? I guess you hear there's agencies that want a dog that looks nice, right? Yeah. Is that what you're talking about? Like school, they get like a lab or, with something that's not too too mean looking, that kind of stuff.
Play that game with schools, you know what I mean? Because it's a little bit different environment, you know what I mean? But usually, if an department comes to me and they want a dog that looks like this, I don't make guarantees on looks. I make guarantees on workability. You know what I mean? Like, I have people call me all the time. We had it in this last class. A guy called. We've been talking to him for like the last year. He's a shepherd guy. You know what I mean? He's like, man, I've always had shepherds. I like shepherds. I was like, we'll see if I find one because it's rare. You know what I mean? It's rare I find a shepherd that I think is a real police duel. And I found one, and he bought a Dutchie.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what I mean? But the Dutchie is a very nice dog. You know what I mean? So, but with police departments, I tell them, like, hey, man, I buy the best dogs I can find.
Yeah.
And that's what I bring back.
Yeah.
Looks wise, especially with floppy ears, TSA is one that specifically is looking for.
Yeah.
Floppy ears. They'll take pointy ears, but on right.
Yeah.
I remember. So
yeah. Every once in a while they'll take a pointy ear.
Take pointy ears, but they probably won't fly floppy ears just for the sake of public image.
Right.
But if somebody were looking for a duel and they wanted a dog that looked nice, they're looking in the wrong.
Right.
They're looking in the wrong place.
So you guys provide dogs to cops, obviously.
Yep.
Like your local police departments. Who else do y'all work with?
We have contracts with DOD, Border Patrol, and TSA.
Okay.
So we do a little bit of all of it as far as contract dogs. A little bit different game there because we're not selling finished dogs. We're selling green dogs, but we do those as well. Yeah.
But other agencies too, we don't have a contract with.
Yeah, there's other people in the military that we sell dogs to. That's not exactly contract work, but
looking for unicorns,
special units that come out and look for unicorns, and we find them. They come out and they buy them.
What type of skills typically outside of the law enforcement realm are they looking for? They're looking for tracking. They're looking for protection. They're looking for EOD dogs. What's the different types of stuff that y'all can train up?
So. Like as far as our different contracts, or just outside of
so other than like on the cop side, you've got you can train them to bite, you can train them to look for drugs, you can train them to track people. What other skills can you train dogs to do outside of the law enforcement realm, as far as like skills that they want the dog to be able to do, like special customers?
Yeah, business wise, we sell protection dogs. We don't do a ton of protection dogs because we're kind of picky about who we put them with, So we do protection dogs, like family protection dogs, stuff like that. And again, dogs like that are hard to find, right? A dog that is intense enough to be a protection dog, but also live in a home and be cool with kids and other dogs, That's why we're so picky about who we put those dogs in their houses. And then we also train pets, man. Pets is money. That's consistent income. I have a girl named Taryn that. She does a lot of pet training for the company, and we book just personal pets for obedience and stuff like that.
We've also recently just, trained a blood tracking dog too. So you mentioned tracking, but there's different capacities,
right?
And it's the same concept in detection work as well. Yeah, we train, explosives and narcotics. Right. But if somebody were to come to us and be like, hey man, I just picked up a contract for to do bed bugs or, other things, it's the same bread and butter. We're just using a different.
The methodology doesn't change.
Yeah. Like our skill set, methodology, everything, it doesn't change. It's all the same. It's just now we're just kind of fine tuning it to what, specifics people want.
Just a different odor.
Yeah. All obedience, that we train is kind of all designed around the same stuff. Sits, downs, heels, recalls, everything like that. And then, we kind of, put that out there for everybody else to do all the other crazy stuff that people want their dogs to shake their hands or jump up like a snake or whatever.
Yeah.
But, we just kind of do all the main stuff.
I gotcha. So the military would be more like the EOD type stuff, like the bomb stuff.
Yeah. So I did work down there at Lackland, and I did all the training for them. I went on buy trips and I worked at the breeding program. It's a little. So yes, it's for the main thing. What I would say is for explosives. I think everybody kind of knows that. They have their narcotic programs and stuff as well. But they buy the dogs green, and when we say green, they're not imprinted on any odors. Okay. They don't have an obedient background. Their test is pretty similar to how we test. Obviously, you know, Brandon tests similar to the DoD. I came in and did more so DoD stuff while testing because we were on contract with them. But yeah, it's just complete intensity and chaos at the end of the leash, and really what they're looking for doesn't include any sort of odor work outside of a Kong, and they don't have obedience, and they just bite. Right. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay. What we're talking about like odors, like the narcotic stuff. What is y'all's opinion or your take on this? Because I know a lot of agencies now, especially in Texas, are not imprinting their dogs on marijuana. I'm sorry, especially outside of Texas, in like the states where it's, you know, it's okay to have weed and stuff. What do y'all think about like training them off of that kind of stuff? Is that
what's the trend with that? That's the question. Like, do I think you can train a dog off of an odor it's imprinted on? Totally no.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to happen. You know what I mean? I think you know, if you got a 3-year-old dog and it's been on marijuana for a year and a half,
yeah.
Good luck proving in court that it doesn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just from years of experience and seeing dogs imprinted on odors and then trying to proof them off of it, man, is extremely hard. There may be people out there that have done it, but my personal belief is I don't think it ever gone.
I think that's kind of a weird question because, yes, I will say we provide dogs where we don't imprint marijuana. Like we got one in our course right now where we specifically plant marijuana elsewhere to where he can't even see it or anything like that.
While he's here.
Right? And that brings up exactly what I'm kind of going into is
where you're going.
Yeah. So
how long will it stay that way?
How long will it stay? You don't know because a lot of drugs trafficked, and I can't speak on behalf of the cop world, right? But I know what it is. Drugs are trafficked together a lot of the time.
Right.
You know, they're cut together. Right. So that odor is going to be mixed somehow with it. And, you know, frequent, like, I can't speak on behalf of users or anybody like that, but the dogs tend to show an emotional response after they leave here to marijuana, you know, because it's together.
Right.
So it's really like one of those kind of...
How many dope heads you know that's never smoked a joint?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right? And there's no odor of that anywhere around any of their other narcotics. You know what I mean?
How often do they show an emotional response to it, even when we haven't imprinted it?
You're absolutely right.
So if you don't know that it's marijuana on a vehicle, well, your dog's showing an emotional response. What are you going to do?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just like it's a very good question, but it's really hard to answer, and it's also kind of hard to speak on behalf of it, because I mean it's just murky water.
Right. No, I got you. So we've talked a lot about what you're looking for in a dog. What would you, if you were at an agency and you had to pick a person out of a group of guys that are applying to be a K9 officer, what type of things would you look for in the officer to come and be a handler? Like, what makes a good handler?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because like life doesn't get easier when you get a dog. It gets harder, right? Because you're a cop and you have a dog that you got to take care of all the time. Somebody that's good at finding dope without a dog, because if you can find dope without a dog, you're gonna find dope with a dog. Right. You know what I mean? So if you got a guy that never finds dope, I wouldn't say he's the guy.
Like in a perfect world, I would think you wouldn't want somebody that's easily excited, you know, overly excitable, because dogs will feed off that energy. You want somebody that's coachable, trainable, can take correction, especially in real time, because most of what we provide is correction in the moment. And the handler has to adjust to that, and react, you know, in a way where you don't essentially hit a brick wall in the middle of training because I'm telling you to do something, and then you just have to stop. So somebody that can, you know, coachable, trainable, and I think one of the misconceptions is, a person has to be an A-type personality, an
Right.
alpha. I honestly, most of the time, I think that interferes with dog training. Somebody that's overly, at least thinks they're alpha and believes overly so that they are, can assert themselves over everything with a heartbeat,
Right.
typically interferes with training a dog. That's why they say, at least in sport, you often hear females make the best handlers.
Right.
Females make the best handlers typically in sport. So, if we were to pick our ideal handler, trainability, coachability has got to be there. Patience. Yeah. Somebody that doesn't just get spun up and wound up every time something does not go according to plan, because that's going to happen most of the time.
Yeah, 90% of the handlers, of course, stuff's not going to plan.
Yeah, because it's a living, breathing thing at the end of the day.
I would assume, especially if you're talking about a dual purpose dog, they need to be able to make good decisions when it comes to their use of force, because they've got a weapon,
Mhm.
basically, a very
that's hand in
a
hand.
serious
Being overly
use
excited.
of force,
Yeah.
and that has a pattern and a history of making good decisions when it comes to that kind of stuff. Right. Yeah.
All of those things.
Okay.
But that said, you look for the ideal handler. It doesn't mean that we can't work with whatever.
Right.
handlers
You get the ideal handler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get.
Okay.
So
Cool. So let's go around the room. What's your favorite or what's your best dog story? Like from your time working either in military or like, give me a good story. Let's hear something.
You've got a really good one. Yeah.
Which one?
You already know.
I do.
Start with the one. Yeah. The crate dog.
Aries?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to hear what I'm saying.
I'm gonna crack a beer before I do this one, guys. Yeah. So, I had a dog that tore me up pretty bad.
Yeah.
Gosh, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Probably 4 or 5 years ago, right when I opened this place. I actually have a tattoo of him on my hand. Because he taught me a lesson.
tat.
Yeah, feed my tat. Thanks, Micah.
Feed the team.
Tyler. Feed it, dude. Yeah, so he was a dog, a super intense Dutch Shepherd, right?
Okay.
Really, really nice dog. Not a social dog, but not a sharp dog. From what I had him for about a month at the time. And I had a guy that worked for me named Sam. We would take dogs out, we'd put them in the crates before we'd go work them for the day. It was a normal routine. So I'm out doing something, I'm spraying kennels or something. Sam's moving dogs for me. And I look over at the corner of my eye and I see Sam is having an issue getting a dog in a kennel, right? And I'm in work mode. So I'm like, dude, let's just get the damn dog in the kennel and let's get to work. You know what I mean? There's stuff to do here. And so I keep seeing it. So eventually I drop the hose, I go over there and I'm like, dude, give me the dog. You know what I mean? Give me the dog and put him in the kennel. And anybody that's done what we do or been around a lot of dogs has thrown working dogs in kennels, right? You grab a dog by his collar and his hind end and you just throw it in the kennel and say, hey, dude, it's time to go in. We're not playing this game. I'm going to work you through this slowly. And I grabbed him by his collar and his hind end and went to throw him in, and we never got in because he bit one arm and bit down well. I choked him off of it, and they bit the other arm, and eventually we got slip it over him, and I handed him Sam. I was like, hey, you got to put him up. And I was pretty shredded up my forearms from it. So, but the backstory of it is things I didn't know is as every time Sam tried to get him in the kennel, he growled. He was like, but I didn't ask that because I was in work mode. I was like, oh, we're going. We got stuff to do today. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was hoping hopefully the information would have been offered. It was not. But for me, it taught me a lesson, right? Man, you can get in a groove or just a mindset of doing things, right? It's so routine. You don't slow down enough to watch the dog's behavior. Yeah. Right? Maybe if I'd taken a second and walked him around and just tried to get him in myself, you know what I mean? He probably would have showed me a ground about, okay, we're going to address this a little bit differently.
Right.
We're going to see what the root of whatever's going on is because he's been in the kennel 42 times. Right. But I didn't do that. You know what I mean? So he taught me, hey, don't get so comfortable with these dogs. And we still, I still find myself doing it, right? We get green dogs, I get so comfortable with them. Now I'm just moving around, manhandling them, you know what I mean? Doing what we're doing. And he tore me up pretty good. So the dog gets to say so too. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially when you're dealing with a really strong, intense dog. Right dog, they're going to get their say so if you don't give it to them. Something you hear with cop handler or just any handlers, right? Any working dog handler, you hear a lot of this is super common. It's my dog tried to alpha me, and so I showed him who was boss. Well, if you have a dog, the wrong dog you do that to, you're gonna end up with holes in your arm.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, he's like that dog, that real dog like that. If you're not fair with him, and we talk about being fair and consistent, man,
Yeah.
that's our thing, right? If you're not fair with that dog, especially a green dog that doesn't know any better, he's gonna correct you.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so like fair and consistency is everything for us.
So with that particular dog, was that dog able to go on and work?
Yeah. Yeah, he was able to go on and work and be reconditioned. We never saw it again. You know what I mean? But it was one of those times.
Uncomfortable every time.
Yeah, right. Like I don't care who you are. And me and Trevor, we've all talked about this. Like man, it gets in your head. You know, especially with a specific dog. Now I know, like I got to pull that dog again.
Right.
You know, like we got to come out. We got to figure this out. And see where the issue lies. You know,
right.
And I don't care how tough you are, how tough you think you are.
Yeah.
If you get bit by a dog, dude, it's going to be in the back of your head, and you're going to be different for a while. You know, especially if it's a real bite. Yeah. Not like I missed my toy and bit your leg bite, but like hey, it's time to fight bite.
Right.
Yeah. I've worked with a lot of dogs. I mean, all of us have worked with a lot of dogs. Yeah. So it's really hard for me to pinpoint an actual story. So it'd be better to have a question. So, you know, like dog bite reference or.
It doesn't necessarily have to be like training dogs, but like, you know, tell me a story about, you know, working with a dog where you did something cool. I don't know, you know, like when it comes to the military or, you know.
I'll take it if you want to.
Take it.
So this is my own personal dog.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the most, it just sticks out in my head as one of those, you know, pivotal points in a relationship with a dog.
Right.
I have a personal dog. He's not a herder. He's a Presa Canario.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the Presa Canario guy of the group. That was the dog I started with, you know, many, many years ago, and I still have some. I have one right now that's exceptionally, I don't know, hateful, violent.
Right.
He's an extremely man-aggressive dog. He's not overly defensive. He's just a really strong-minded, does not like people, has no social circle outside of me and two other people. So anyway, he's oddly what's the word? Oddly patient with my handling, especially if I get overly pushy with him because I've handled him hard most of his life. But one particular time I got overly pushy with him and I came around the corner of a tractor and, I was calling him to me. He was blowing me off. He comes around the corner of the tractor and I kind of get into him a little bit. And at that moment, he was probably 6 years old at that point. At that moment, he turned to me and we had this brief face off where I realized I'm very, very close. You know, how I play this next 5 seconds out is going to determine how this goes. And I've seen him, you know, he's again a dog. If you slip a jacket, he's going after the person the second that jacket comes off. Yeah. If he has an opportunity, he's biting you. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are. If you have a pulse, you're getting bit. I think he'll bite even if you don't have a pulse. Doesn't matter. So, but he's never shown that towards me. But I got real pushy with him one day, and he let me know in that moment, we're done with this. You know, we're done with this. So you can push me if you want to, but there's consequences. Right. And I had to pretend like I didn't know that. And push back just enough to where he was willing to, you know, we were at a stalemate and he was willing not to push it further. Yeah. And then we went about our way. Wow. You know, so it was memorable for me I mean, the main reason again is just because dogs are willing to tolerate behavior from people doesn't mean, and in fact, it means you probably shouldn't, you know, take advantage of that. Right. Just because he can deal with me being impatient or pushy or even unclear with communication or sometimes unfair with how I apply communication. Right. That doesn't mean I should do that. I should take time to honor that and not get to the point where he has to let me know, hey, I don't think I'm going to deal with that anymore. Yeah, that makes sense. It was a good moment for me, especially now how I apply it with these duels here. Because they're, I don't want to push one to the point where I now create a problem for a handler down the road. Right. So
what made y'all, I mean, you can answer individually, but what got you interested in working with dogs, like originally? Like, what was the seed that started your you know, down this path?
Jump on that one real quick. So as a young kid, I'm from Maryland, and this happened in Baltimore City.
Mm-hmm.
I had a dog we had. It was a Chinese Chow.
Mm-hmm.
It was in our house. Somebody was trying to break into our home. It was in broad daylight. And I was a younger guy. I was probably, 15, 16, and I had a handgun. And I threatened whoever was at the back door trying to gain entry to the house that if you come through the door, I'm shooting you. We had a Chow that hit the door, growled, snapped, snarled at the door. And he's a really nasty dog. She was a really nasty dog. And that's what deterred them.
Wow.
And they left. Me threatening them with a gun, I mean, I don't know what I would have done. I would like to think I would have made good on my threat if they came through that door.
Right.
I'll be honest, I was grateful that the dog, pushed them away. From that moment on, I knew I'd always have a dog. I knew I would always rely on a dog for those type of circumstances. Like, you're there to provide me an opportunity to do what I need to do.
Right.
So anyway, that was the seed that started it all for me. We're talking 30 years ago now. So
yeah, I've been around dogs my whole entire life. My mom's a dog groomer. She owns a dog grooming business in Colorado, and she'd always have dogs in and out. So I've kind of been around dogs my whole entire life. That said, and I didn't think about training them until I was working a gate for the military, and one of the handlers came through, and he had his dog, and we got to conversating, and he was like, "You should try and come to the kennels sometime."
That's cool.
Well, I went to the kennels, and of course they were like, "Well, you got to take a bite," And so I took a bite from a dog, and it's the best feeling in the world, man. Like after that, it was on. I would go there all the time. I would catch all their dogs. I'd go there before work, after work. I'd go there in the middle of the night when the handlers were working night shift. I did that for a while. Yeah. Fortunately, at the time, I was at Beale Air Force Base. Their kennels were rotating 6 and 6. So 6 months on, 6 months home, 6 months gone. They were rotating like that. So their take on being K9 was you gotta be committed, right? Because it's a job, and so I did that for about a year. I became, then they gave me my letter of recommendation to be K9, and so I ended up applying 3 times to go, and on the 3rd time they accepted me, and after that it was game on.
Wow. How about you?
Kind of similar to Trevor's story. I was a straight-laced security forces dude coming into the Air Force, and I hated it. And all around, I just didn't enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, right, you're a fake cop. You're doing, like, you can do security stuff. You can go do cool stuff. You know what I mean? But the dudes that always seem like they're having the most fun was the K9 guys. Right. I grew up around dogs. My dad had a Doberman that scared shit out of me when I was a kid. And yeah, kind of that. I dipped my toes into it. I was overseas at the time in Germany. I put in for it. I was lucky enough to get it. You know what I mean? I got it and went in, became a dog handler, and that was it. You know what I mean? Like, I became a dog handler, and I kind of fell in love with dogs. I was never in dog training before that. You know what I mean? I met Trevor at pre-deployment. I hated him. He was dumb.
You knew I was better than
no, shut up, dude. I hated him, dude. But yeah, I did that. You know what I mean? And then, in the Air Force, there's a time where you can't be a dog handler anymore. So I was like, it's time to get out. But like in that meantime, right? Like you start like social media, right? Like this is kind of how me and Brian connected. It was like I would see dogs in the sport field doing stuff that my military working dog could do. I'm like, how is this possible? Right. You know what I mean? Like no way that dog actually just did that, And so I started dipping my toe in the sport world, and I kind of stand on that too, man. Some of the best trainers in the world are sport trainers, right?
A lot of smoke and mirrors too.
There's a lot of smoke and mirrors in sports too. Yeah. So I mean, like we've told these guys that aren't handling sports right now. You know what I mean? Go somewhere. Don't go anywhere thinking you're going to get a magic pill to figure out everything with dogs, because it doesn't happen. But go everywhere and take a tool and put it in your toolbox, man. Because you can't, you can go anywhere and find something like, dude, I've never thought of that. So that's kind of what I started. I started dipping my toes outside of military working dogs and kind of brought it back. Yeah. And I was like, man, dog training would be pretty badass if you do it right. Yeah.
So that's cool. I've heard people talking about that. I guess there's a couple different mindsets when it comes to working dogs. So there's the guy who takes the dog home and it's it's a member of his family. It's, it hangs around his kid, but then when it's time to go to work, he gets in the car and goes to work. And then there's the guy who brings the dog home and puts him in a kennel, and he's a tool. He's a tool that I take out and I take to work with me. Two different kind of mindsets. Mm-hmm. Can y'all talk on the two different ones and kind of, I guess, what y'all's take on that?
Take it if you want.
Yeah. So
take that.
Again, not being a police dog handler, I know what I would expect from my dog if I was. And the thing is, not all dogs can be handled the same. So not all dogs can take to the home life and then shut it off when it's time to work.
Yeah.
It doesn't apply to all dogs. Some dogs can, some dogs can't.
Right.
But I do think when you expect a dog to be off most of the time, mm-hmm. you have to take into account that the dog is off most of the time.
Yeah.
And then you need to apply, training methods, or you just have to be cognizant of that so that you train accordingly. Mm-hmm. If my dog's off most of the time, if I pull my dog to do obedience, if I pull my dog for potty breaks, if I pull my dog for PR opportunities, mm-hmm. or to be pet by everybody at the department, I have to know that, and I have to make sure that I train accordingly so that when I pull my dog to do its job, that it's ready to do its job.
Right.
That it isn't just thinking, well, hey, I'm going to go snuggle with, whoever on the couch.
Right.
Just Tuesday.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot in reality because, like you said, there's some guys, and Hunter, who is, I don't know if he's in the middle, but I do know he understands his dog as a tool.
Right.
So I have to use my dog as a tool. I got to treat him a bit like a tool to accomplish what I need.
Right.
So with that means, well, I don't want that dog to get too comfortable or cozy with stuff that may get in the way of that.
Right.
But again, that doesn't matter for every dog. Some dogs can go and live a life on a couch.
Right.
You pull them and they're ready to go because they never really shut off.
That's a 1%er.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So it comes down to, what's most important for why do you have that dog? If you have that dog to save your life, apprehend bad guys, find dope, well, then that needs to be the priority.
Right.
Yeah.
How that applies at home, there's going to be hangover most likely if the dog is,
it's probably easier for a single dude.
Yeah.
For sure. A single dude it's easier for him than somebody has a family, right? You have a family, you have a kid. Like I got 3 boys, you got 2 girls, you got 2 girls. You know what I mean? Like I got a 4-year-old that, like, if I was a police, stop y'all. I hate y'all. If I was a police canine handler, you know what I mean? Like, I came home, my 4-year-old would be like, let me see him, dude. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how he is,
Yeah.
So it'd be hard, to be like, all right, like, we're not going to, but like, you got to know the.
Yeah. So I feel like it comes down to the sociability of the dog.
Right.
If you expect your dog to be social with everybody, well, then it's going to interfere with the work.
Right.
I don't think there's any way you can say that it won't, but there's no way really to back that up. Right?
Yeah. Well, you got to think, right? 345 days a year, let's say.
Yeah.
Random number. We go to the office. Janine at the counter gets to pet our dog.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? She gets to do this. You go in Starbucks, you get a drink, you bring your dog in, they all love your dog. And then have a sense you're at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Shit goes down and you got to get by. It's like, hey, dude, just kidding about the last 349 days.
Yeah.
Now Starbucks is the time you're going to bite somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
That's asking a lot of a dog.
Right.
I truly believe that there's a 1% dog out there that can do that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it's not saying the dog has to be looking to nuke everybody, because that gets in the way too.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the 3 of us.
I don't want a dog like that.
Would expect a dog to want to just nuke everybody that was in a position or close to get. That isn't the point. Neutrality for all of us is a priority. I want our dog to be neutral. But ideally, what you don't have is a dog that is looking to interact, socialize, get pets, get love from random people.
Right.
It should not happen, because if it does, it's going to carry over to every random person. And this guy that's walking away, that you're saying, hey, stop, or I'm going to send my dog.
Right.
Well, the dog, he just sees a guy walking away.
Yeah, every situation's different. You guys run into so many situations,
Right.
you know, whether that's somebody passive, walking and just, you know, not caring, or like just completely calm in the situation, and a dog's not feeding off that.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I don't have to be. Yeah, I don't have to be an officer out there with with a canine to understand how.
We saw it doing a patrol seminar over there.
Correct. Yeah.
So we did a patrol seminar in Greenville for 4 days, right? With there was 11 dog teams or something like that. It was just patrol work, right? The last day, we go to an old restaurant. Right, it's still outfitted like a restaurant, but you couldn't tell the difference. And the first scenario we did, Trevor was running on upstairs. It was more like stress environment. You know what I mean? A lot of noises, strobe lights, everything.
Downstairs,
downstairs the opposite. There was loud music. Right, that was it. It was just loud music. The guy gives a call out at the front of the door, going into like the seating area, and there's a dude walking around with a backpack on and a bite suit, just walking. He's not giving a dog anything. Right?
He's still not compliant.
Yeah, he's not compliant, but he's just walking. Right, like. And we had 3 or 4 dogs that would run up to you and they'd be like, no, he's just walking and keep going. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because there's how many times has a dog seen that? Somebody, even during training, somebody's just walking around and this other guy in a suit's like, hey, you know what I mean? They're giving, hey, some of my girlfriends, they're getting that Bad Bunny treatment. You know what I mean? So like you see all of this, and then now, what if you have a real shithead that's just walking away from you?
Right.
He's just walking randomly, not even looking at the dog, obviously I made eye contact with the dog, it's going to bite me. But if I'm just walking like this, I'm going to school.
Right.
You know, but bites got him in bite.
Yeah. So with all that being said, I guess would most of that still apply with a single purpose dog if it's just a drug dog?
A little different.
So
single purpose. We want, obviously, single-purpose dogs. You want them to. It goes back to your question earlier. You know, to the public. A lot of single-purpose dogs are more for the public, like ISDs, or contract dogs,
right?
And they're going to be in the more so like an office kind of environment. Yeah. And so single-purpose is a little bit different. It doesn't mean that we want single-purpose handlers to go out there and be like, hey, love on my dog, blah, 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 because that can always lead into them not working when you get them to work.
At the end of the day, the dog
is a good example.
Yep. The dog is a single-purpose dog. Its job is to find narcotics or explosives.
Right.
How will everything that I do, apart from that, impact how the dog finds narcotics or explosives? So even for a single-purpose dog, if my dog is so interested in getting love and pets and being social with other people, what happens when I'm trying to run a problem? And they see a group of people over here. They're going to be more interested in going over there, or are they going to want to go find dope?
Yeah.
So it different scenario in terms of what I need the whole picture of what I need the dog for, but in the same breath, I still need the dog for something other than hanging out on the couch, or getting petted from people. So it's not even at that point about biting or not biting.
Right.
It's a matter of looking for attention or interaction with other people.
At the end of the day, it's not a pet.
Right. So if I want to integrate this dog at home, I have to understand the temperament of the dog, what motivates the dog, and if I feed into that at home, if it's interested in that, it's going to will it hang over? Will it interfere with the dog's actual job? Right. Which is not that. And that's, we've seen it, at least. I don't know if that is a prevalent problem, but I know we've seen it here where folks want, a dog to do something other than its primary job. They want to include it at home, and I do think it has an impact. Certainly. Yeah. That said, I mean, we do buy still for single purpose dogs really intense cert. Right. And so that, although like it can lead to issues down the road, it doesn't necessarily mean it will. Yeah. So, and it still has to serve in a environment. And so some of our dogs, can be loving in a way and social, but you put them to work, and the work overrides a lot of things. And that goes back to kind of what you were saying. And so we're very specific on that. That's, we'll never budge on that. No. We'll never, ever budge on that.
So a couple more things and we'll try to wrap it up here. What does the training look like for a dog that y'all bring in? Like, how do y'all get started with that dog? Like, from time you bring him here to the time he walks away with his handler? Like, how does that process go?
Walks away final day or first day?
First day.
I would say from the time you get a brand new dog overseas, you get them here, and they set foot on your property. From then until the time that the handler takes them home, like
with his certification.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously,
yeah.
We'll kind of do like the Reader's Digest version, but like, what does that look like converting a regular dog to a working dog?
Right, dogs land. I typically like to give dogs 3 days to acclimate. Essentially, it doesn't always happen. Like this group, it didn't happen because we had a lot of apartments lined up that wanted to test dogs.
They get them to experience our work though.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I tell guys like, hey, if dogs land on Wednesday, you come test dogs on Thursday. You're seeing the worst version of that dog you're ever going to see. And remember that, right? They went from Poland to the Netherlands. That's 11 hours. Probably sat in a warehouse in the Netherlands. Flew another 14 hours here, got in our Sprinter van, came here and got put in the kennels, and it's probably hotter here than it was there, usually. And now we're like, all right, remember what you did there when you were there for a month? Do it here, Bubba.
With new people,
with new people,
smells, new sounds.
Yeah. That's why selection is so important, right? And that's why we stand on selection so much. We've had dogs come in and shit the bed, right? And it happened, but maybe 2 in a year.
It's not common.
It's not common, but that's why we stand
on the hands-on.
So that happens, right? So they come in. We have departments come in and test the dogs. If we're talking about police departments specifically, come and test the dogs, hunt, and everything like that. Once they're like, that's the dog I want, we go straight into training. We imprint. Right after that, we imprint on narcotics and a ton of obedience, right? Because if we've done our selection right, the bite work does not need really that much work. You know what I mean? You need to see pictures and you see some more passive stuff typically. But we start doing a lot of obedience because I think all of our opinions is fair obedience with a dog is what the most important thing is, right? Because it's like, all right, you have this call that for your whole life, these last 12 months in Europe, you've been taught to hold on to. And never let go, because guys like me are going to come over there and see if you let go of it. I'm like, they don't want to, right? But now I got to teach you to want to let go of that for something else. I need you to be operant, right? I need you to want to work with me. And some dogs just want to do that. Most of them don't, right? Some can just be aloof and be looking around. So we go, we usually have a month and a half from selection or dogs on ground, month and a half handlers course. Essentially. So our goal before they get here is obedience, have a really solid foundation, right? Understand positions,
engagement,
understand engagement, understand, how to shut off pressure. And by that, I mean like with a leash or an e-collar, pretty much finished on narcotics. And then bite work is bite work, right? We've shown them all the pictures. We've had them pass scenarios. We've had them fended scenarios. We've had them all of this stuff that they need to see. And then we start course. And y'all probably touch on handler's course.
So by the time the officer gets here to start his course, the dog already knows how to look for dope.
That's another thing, right? Is this is going to cause controversy, right? And it will, because a lot of people will say, well, you need a 15, 16-week handler's course, and I want to teach dogs with a handler. I don't agree. I don't think either one of y'all agree.
You need,
because that foundational work is so, and maybe it's just us and we're so picky about how that foundational stuff is laid, right? That it's, timing's so important. You know what I mean? And if you have a really intense dog, you know what I mean? Like being fair with him is important. Right. All the stuff that I can't ask a new guy to come in and be like, hey, did you not see what he just did? Right? Because I give him a finished dog and they don't even see what they did.
Learn how to mark what we're looking for, sniffing behavior, emotional response, while this dog is learning how to identify and odor. And you're trying to do the two together.
And it's funny too, because a lot of the time the dogs will look pretty finished to us, if not finished. And then you put them on a handler and then they have no idea.
They look crazy.
And so it's almost like going back to, you can't say day one, but it's just a little rocky for the first couple of weeks, I think.
So I could see, right, if we our handlers are done, right, they graduate, they get their certificate, we never see them again. Maybe then it would justify us having them here from very start to finish. but that's never going to be the case.
Right.
Every handler we've ever had leave here comes back.
Right.
If not right away, eventually.
Yeah.
And so if you're trying to put handlers out there that know from the ground up how to prepare a dog, yeah. So see you later. You've got it from here because you've seen the whole process.
Right.
That's not realistic. I just don't think. Or you see, where the dog's got a foundation of engagement, knows odor, is locking up on odor, and now you're coming in learning how to handle that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now, by the time you reach the end of the class, you're really proficient. And then you're coming back and troubleshooting. But you already have knowledge.
Right.
You already have, hands on the leash, time with the dog. So if there's trouble, right, you come back. Even if there's not trouble, you're just coming back refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's every handler we've had through here. Come back and we work together.
I mean, like we tell these dudes, right? We told this group that's here right now, right? The biggest thing is like, hey guys, like, there are certain things that people do in the industry, right? We can get into the industry talk if we want to, because that could be a long talk for all of us. But, right, typically the industry motto is, hey, here's a dog, go run it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Run it, add it, put it up, right? I'd rather sit and talk with handlers, and we've done this. This course has been great for communication.
Yes.
Like, I'd rather sit there and talk to handlers about why the dog is doing what it's doing, and how we got it there, and why I'm asking you to do this for 3 hours, than just give a guy a finished dog, right? Because what we're giving is guys knowledge on how to go back, right? Where you go back and you're gone. Now what? You know the methodology behind why the dog is trained the way it is.
Yeah, you're almost giving them intuition,
right,
to go and do their own things and explore their own avenues. Yeah, I mean, that's what we want. We want a thinker. We don't want to do it.
Yeah.
You said it earlier, being able to think through a situation. Well, you can't just think through a situation if you don't practice thinking all the time with your dog and learn these things, everything about this dog, whether or not he's sniffing different, his ears are pinned back, his body's stiff, he turned left circles in this room rather than right when he always turns right, his tail. These are all things that we talk about through our course and in association to emotional response with our handlers, that they can see it. And when they're going through certification, they're telling our certified, they're like, my dog's on odor. Before he's even before he actually gets to odor, my dog's on odor. And it's like, okay, well, keep working and let him actually get, respond. But that's what we want our handlers know, right? And it's just teaching them how to read their dogs and have that intuition about them. And that's important for us because a sit and a down is cool and all, but knowing your partner is more important.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people who watch this from all over the place, all over the country, all over the world, really. What are some things that you would advice that you would give to an officer or an agency that's looking for a training company to get a dog from, that are some red flags that maybe they should steer away from that?
I can tell you mine. I'll let y'all rip first, and then I'll go.
Yeah.
Mine is, if you go somewhere in the United States and they're showing you 30 duels, you're looking at 5 to 8 duels. And this is what I built this thing on from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's why I've had departments call me and be like, hey, man, we want to come out and test those. I have 3. Like, I want to test more. Well, have fun. Yeah. Have fun testing. It's the same thing with me and my guys in Europe. They know what I like, right? So I don't go test 100 duels to find 5. Yeah. I go and test 15 dogs and I come back with 8. Right. For me, that's my passion, man. It really is. It's like, I think the quality of duels in the United States is crap. Mm-hmm. And so if you go somewhere and they tell you have 30 duels, good luck, because you're testing a quarter of that, in my opinion, right? That may actually be able to do that. And really intense dogs is even less than that. But this goes back to a fog, in my opinion, in the K9 career field as a whole, is people see a very intense green dog and they have a new handler and they're like, too much dog for this handler. That's crap, man. Because you got to trust the training of where you're getting it. If you can't trust the training, it's our job, right? Like, that's why I have Trevor and Brian here. It's our job to make sure we're picking the right dog, and then you have to trust training. There's no reason you should say, this dog is too much for a new handler. You can say that if the training sucks. And that's the case, in my opinion, with most places in the United States.
I think So I don't think I ever want to bash anybody else.
Right.
What they do.
Right.
Because they believe in their business. They believe in what they buy. What I will say is, everybody out there has to make a sale.
Right.
And when making a sale, they're going to show their bad dogs. They're going to try and push those bad dogs in any way, shape, or form that they can. Whether that's a kennel issue, for the dog going back to the kennel. We had one of our vendors where I went to go put the dog up, and when I grabbed the dog and I was doing my initial look, I'm touching him and everything. I was like, Brandon, do you see the scabs on this dog's neck? And he was like, yes. Well, what that brings up the next conversation. We're talking to vendor, and the vendor's like, oh, well, I got that from such and such vendor over here.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good dog too.
He was a great dog. He was, we would have bought his name was Sheriff.
Rambo, or Sheriff.
Yeah, Sheriff.
Yeah, Sheriff.
He was a great working dog, right? And I automatically knew there's something, right?
Yeah.
And so for us and our experience and seeing dogs and feeling them out, I that's a red flag to me, right? And so I'm feeling it and everything like that, and I'm like, Well, I put this dog up in the kennel. And he gives me a small sign, not a big sign. He gives me a small sign that he just, at my hand. Right? I'm a new person, a new test, new place. Automatically, I'm like, I don't know if I trust this dog going back to the kennel, right? Well, that was the issue. And the vendor told us later, he wasn't going to tell us up front. He's like, oh, yeah, they, put an e-collar on him for going back to his kennel because he would sometimes grab, right? Mm. That's a little white lie that he's throwing out there because he still wants to get rid of his dog. That dog was maybe the third dog we test.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not that it wasn't a good dog. It's the fact that vendor was willing to push his problem onto somebody else, right? And that's gonna be a lot of places out there.
Yeah.
And we kind of stand by just being transparent through it all. If for these guys buying dogs, they need to ask questions and know and understand that the vendors are gonna show crap majority of the time.
Bring somebody with you that knows what.
Yeah, bring somebody with you.
Okay. That's tough because you could bring the wrong person.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I'm not, and not disagreeing with y'all, but you could bring the wrong person, and they can steer you away from a good dog because they don't know what they're looking at.
Yeah,
that's happened.
Yeah,
that's happened
with some dogs.
So red flags, it's tough, but one of the easier things to identify in a dog is intensity. So that's why intensity is so important. I may know nothing about dogs, and I don't know shit about grip. Especially with regard to grip technique. But I should understand intensity. That dog is dying to do,
the right. And
so, correct. So if they bring a dog out and it's, if you're evaluating dogs and the dog is not into the work that it's doing.
If you have a slow mount law, you have a problem.
Yeah. I mean, that is a red flag. But also another thing that exists everywhere is just references. Who has this vendor sold dogs to?
Right.
Let me reach out to handlers and see their experience with dogs.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, you may get somebody that's mad at the vendor. Dog shit the bed because the training after. But if you dig enough, you'll find the red flags. And then what do you do with it?
Right.
Do I ignore them?
Yeah.
Go with them because I have history, or do I pay attention to those red flags and seek out, another vendor? So yeah, I think. Just from the outside looking in, if I were to do that, I would want to know, who have you sold dogs to before? Let me reach out to them. Have you had failed deployments? Have you had handler aggression? Have you had issues with dogs not finding odor? What was your experience with the dog that you got from that vendor? I think that's super important.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap it up with this. Mm-hmm. So if anybody wants to contact you guys in order to try to get a dog or come look at dogs, if they're an agency or whatever, where would they go to do that?
Man, you can go to our website, TexasK9solutions.com. Okay. You can put in the information thing on there. You can go to Instagram. We put out a ton of content on Instagram. We put out a lot of us just talking during handlers courses, and you can kind of get a good vibe of what our handlers courses are through Instagram, right? Like we do. I mean, day 2 we're in scenarios, right? We're talking all the time, and then also you can always just give us a call, man. You can call me, and for all my cop dudes, it's my personal cell phone number. And
you can come visit anytime. Handlers course.
Yeah, you hit me up. You can come watch handlers course. I know a lot of people are kind of closed off to stuff, but if you hit me up, hey, I want to come watch handlers course. Yeah, dude, come on. Yeah, if you don't like what you see, well, we're not for you.
If you're a handler looking for a dog, we don't have an issue showing you how the sausage is made.
Right on. Well, I'm going to put a link to your website down in the video description, and so. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate the time. I appreciate y'all taking the time to visit with me, and it was fun. So until next time, we'll see y'all down the road on Texas Narcos.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Texas Narcos Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, share our podcast with your friends and family. You can find Texas Narcos Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Your continued support helps us to bring you stories like the one you just heard. Thank you. God bless, and we'll see you down the road on Texas Narcos.